sector attorneys by the dozens. And I'll talk a little bit about how the Department of Justice is set up so that you understand that if you refer a case federally, how we're going to go ahead and handle these types of cases. But to understand that, you need to understand the structure and role. Basically, the way the structure of the Department of Justice is set up in terms of intellectual property crimes is this flow chart that you're looking at right here. At the top, obviously, is the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General. But specifically, when we're talking about intellectual property crimes, the yellow sections are the people who are going to be handling that as the line assistant prosecutors, the people you're going to be dealing with when you refer a case to the Department of Justice. On the left-hand side, all the way to the left, it says Computer Crime and Intellectual Property section. I'll refer to that as CSIPs. That's where I work. It's main justice. It's the headquarters, the nerve center for the Department of Justice. Within there, you have 14 prosecutors who only deal with intellectual property crimes. Prosecuting cases, training, legislative, I'm part of that, and that's where we're located. As part of a section that does computer crime and intellectual property, because a lot of what you heard before from Stacy is that intellectual property theft today, a lot of it is internet-based, whether it be counterfeit pharmaceuticals that are being sold online, or you're talking about copyright infringement or the cases taking place on the online auction sites. To the right of the computer crime and intellectual property section, you'll see U.S. Attorney's offices. There are 93 U.S. Attorney's offices in the United States. They cover 94 federal districts. Within those 93 U.S. Attorney's offices, you have 25 CHIP units and 230 CHIP prosecutors. What's a CHIP prosecutor? CHIP prosecutor is someone who does computer hacking and intellectual property crimes. We coordinate that from headquarters at CSIPs. But in every office throughout the country, every U.S. Attorney's office, there is at least one prosecutor who is dedicated only to intellectual property prosecutions and computer crime. That is a great resource for you. You can reach out to that person just like you can reach out to me. We also have certain units in New York, Miami, LA, San Francisco that actually have units, multiple CHIP prosecutors because of the number of intellectual property cases that we are actually going to be prosecuting within those districts. Now, in the blue section, under the Department of Justice, the FBI is part of the Department of Justice, so they handle intellectual property cases. But I will tell you that if you shoot down from the FBI there, down to the other blue section, you'll see Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, where Ed is from. You'll see Food and Drug Administration, Office of Criminal Investigation, U.S. Postal Inspectors, U.S. Secret Service, and of course the state and local authorities. Everybody is in this together, and we work with all these different agencies when we talk about intellectual property crimes. Now, in the United States, at least, intellectual property crimes in the federal system cover copyright infringement, trademark infringement, counterfeit labels, bootlegging, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and here's the answer that I get so often, and actually from a lot of attorneys. What about patent? I have a patent case I want to refer criminally. You can't. There are no criminal laws for patent. If it doesn't fit into one of the categories up there, then it's not going to be prosecuted criminally. It'll have to be taken civilly. And of course, crimes less than 1 year are going to be misdemeanors, and crimes that you can face more than 1 year in prison are considered felonies. Now, how does this play out? Well, the criminal statutes. These are the ones you're going to see most often. If you refer a case criminally, you can be sure the prosecutor and the federal government is going to be looking at these statutes. And what does this mean? Well, you have criminal copyright infringement, criminal trademark infringement, theft of trade secrets. This is a big one. A lot of attorneys are referring cases now for theft of trade secrets. What's that? Well, you say you have the secret formula to Coke, which was a recent case that took place that people have been prosecuted for, and someone from Coke wants to sell the secret formula to Pepsi. Well, now there's a case that gets referred to criminally. This is this statute. You have bootlegging, camcording, counterfeit labels. This is something added just a few years ago. What we had these counterfeiters, as Mark said, who were getting pretty sophisticated. Why am I going to put the label on the actual product and maybe get arrested? Let me do the labels separately when I ship them from the actual product, and I'll assemble them somewhere else. That way, if either one of these gets caught, I'm not going to get in trouble. Well, the law now is different. If you get caught with counterfeit labels and we can prove that the intent was to affix those to something which was actually what those labels are supposed to be on, according to the Patent and Trademark Office, then we would go ahead and prosecute that crime as well. And of course, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which is basically